Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up today, we got something special for all y'all.
Yeah.
A little clip from Dan and Mark's new podcast.
The To Heretic. Yeah, we're just going to play a little bit from the show just to give you a little, just to wet your whistle.
Yeah, let you guys see what it's all about. And that'll be up on the second half of the show.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
But coming up now, tell us a story, Franklin.
Yeah, well, I've got a local story that I wanted to cover.
Yeah.
It actually kind of did hit some national news as the story has proceeded and developed. We have a movie theater in town by the name of Broovies. It's one of those that you can like go and drink beer while watching a movie.
Yeah, you can drink a beer and get some food. It's lovely. It's a wonderful way to watch a film.
It's delightful,
And it's the only place in town.
that you can do that for the time being. Apparently, I've heard of plans at one of the others to do the same.
Fun.
But those other theaters were actually waiting to see how this court case settled down.
Indeed.
Because Broovies was fined by the state of Utah for violating some sort of public decency laws for showing these really racy R-rated movies like Deadpool and The Hangover Part 2. Those were the ones that really got them into trouble because they serve alcohol in the same setting. This is in violation of some
Here's what's shocking
law.
about this. These are state laws that were set up to fuck with strip clubs. Like these laws are about like and of course they make no sense. There's no sense at all to these laws, but they're like a strip club that shows actual boobies,
Right.
you can't have drinks there.
Right.
If they have like pasties, then you can have drinks.
Right.
But if you want to see the nip, you can't.
You
You
have a
gotta
sip.
do it sober. You did it. You did it. You got the rhyme there.
So anyway, Broovies won. The whole thing went through. They sued the state and
With, by the way, a little bit of financial support. Ryan Reynolds, the star of Deadpool, found out about this court case and sent them
it was a check for $5,000 according to this article, which is pretty amazing. The most recent development on this, because it's now at the moment settled, right? You can show R-rated movies,
even if they show boobies.
Because the sense of like what is indecent, it has already been established nationwide.
Oh,
right. That was kind of
decency,
right? Like if this is a film that is commonly seen in movie theaters throughout the country, not just specialized sexual-oriented theaters,
right,
but just like theaters,
right,
mass consumption,
somewhere where you can also see the Minions next door.
You can't say that this is somehow specifically some kind of sexual industry, sexual showing. Like this is not some indecent thing. This is commonly consumed, right?
Yeah.
And I remember reading something like that in the article when they came out with the decision. Anywho, they sued, they won. Now they're suing the state for their attorney fees.
Oh,
they're going to make the state of Utah pay the over $500,000 that it took to win this court case.
Absolutely. It's so. What's so stupid about this? So, like the other non-strip club organizations that run afoul of this are, of course, theaters.
Yeah,
local acting, not
theaters.
movie theaters, but playhouses.
Right.
Where every now and then nudity is required in a play, and is appropriate in a play, and
don't sell booze.
They have to like be terrified of like selling booze or even having booze in hand. Like even if they give it away,
right?
They have to be afraid that the state's going to come down on them.
A very good example of that specifically was when the Book of Mormon was most recently in town.
Right.
And the Eccles Theater refused to sell alcohol to be taken into the theater, which is something that they normally do.
Right. Yeah. This was a largely state-funded theater.
Right.
And it was built specifically to have the sort of the Broadway touring companies come through.
Yeah.
And the Book of Mormon sold well in Salt Lake City.
Surprising.
Kids. Don't kid yourself. The counterculture did appreciate this play.
Absolutely.
But yeah, they had this bit. They have a scene. Nobody's naked on stage, but they've got a scene where a bunch of the actors have big, like enormous 3-foot-long fake phalluses coming out of their genital area.
Right.
And that was enough.
That was enough
to make it so that they would not let you take booze into the theater.
It was enough to make the theater management nervous.
Yeah.
And that was the climate. And that was before this decision really was settled. Now Eccles will probably be just fine with, whatever. Because again, those are touring shows made for national consumption.
Yeah.
And not generally considered obscene. Right.
I mean, I'd consider it purposefully obscene. They were going for obscene is what they were trying to do,
but not in violation of obscenity laws.
Right.
Right. Like, how can that possibly run afoul of when? Anyway.
Yeah. People are bringing their families to it. Blah,
that
blah, blah.
Too much. But this is a wonderful thing I think that they're doing to recoup these fees, because this is the kind of thing that will hopefully really make the state think twice about enforcing some of these rules that they have on the books, whether they're stupid about pasties or not.
Yeah. Did you see the Book of Mormon when it was in town?
No.
I did.
Yeah.
Now I've seen it twice. I had seen it once before, thought it was really funny. Saw it again. And here's what I realized.
Yeah.
I think Mormonism is totally fair game for making fun of, and I think that they make fun of the Mormons sort of brilliantly.
Right.
And I think it's delightful.
Right.
I think it's racist. I think their handling of the African stuff
is a little much.
Is genuinely like not funny racist, but racist.
Wow.
I can't watch it again. I won't. For all of the joy that I got from it,
right.
I can't do it anymore. It was like I was like, wait. They're treating this African village like it's it was racist. I was like, nope, that's not okay.
Well, there you go. There you have it from the mouth of Dan Beecher.
That's right. Shame on everyone. Anyway, I'm going to move along. The Supreme Court of these United States has declined to take up a case that came out of Bloomfield, New Mexico.
Bloomfield.
Yes,
beautiful
indeed.
Bloomfield.
Well. So this was a case involving a Ten Commandments monument on their city hall on the lawn outside of City Hall in Bloomfield. Now, this one was one that was getting a little scary to me, because one of the things that was happening with this case is that if it had made it to the Supreme Court, the current makeup of the Supreme Court looks like it's geared in such a way that they could have ruled that it's okay, and then we would have no those of us who have objections to the state essentially, or the governments essentially sponsoring a religious affiliation,
right?
We would have zero recourse to go after them, at least in this particular climate.
Right, because the only other recourse would be passing laws that are different,
which don't need to be passed, because we have the Establishment Clause of the U.S. Constitution. The First Amendment seems pretty clear on it, and there have been lots of rulings. Now, what's nice about this is that the Supreme Court chose not to take it up, which means that lower court rulings stand, and the lower court rulings say no, this does run afoul of the the First Amendment.
So they weren't interested in getting involved in that issue. But what does that do when you allow a lower court ruling to stand, right? And
it does set a precedent.
So are they basically saying we're fine with that ruling? This is now national, or
they're
is
saying
it just that district court and their district of the United States is the one that's affected?
No, so what they're saying is that we're fine with that ruling. So it stands, and then it can be used as precedent in other court cases nationally.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that it's necessary. It doesn't apply nationally necessarily. It's not something that everybody suddenly will be taking down there.
Only the Supreme Court has that authority.
Right, I guess so, yeah. But it is nice that this was, that this happened this way. People have been watching this one pretty carefully. There have been previous rulings, of course, even in the Supreme Court, that a passive monument, like the Ten Commandments, is not okay on its own. But there's also been this sense that if you put it in context of a bunch of other secular things, or if you
set
allow,
up like a free speech zone,
or whatever,
monuments,
then you can get away with it. And this particular one, they set it up as its own thing, and then started to set dress it with some other stuff down the road when they started to realize they were getting into trouble.
And that's what they were like, nope.
Yeah.
So, but could a city say, you know what, we want this little bit of land as a free speech monument zone. Anybody who comes forward can erect whatever they want. Could a city do that if they start off with it as
absolutely. That, which is where Lucian Greaves and the Satanic Temple come in, because because that's his whole game is, yes, their workaround is, we call this a free speech zone.
Right.
And he says, okay, well, let's test that theory. How free speechy are you willing to go?
Right.
So for now, that happened.
Great.
I think we can expect, if I were to predict, I would expect to see some very uncomfortable rulings in the future, though.
I was thinking about this in general, because I saw this article earlier today. And I was thinking about just the idea of monuments on public land in general.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know where the line should be drawn, but there does seem to be sort of an inherent problem with even naming public buildings after a specific, figure. There's we shouldn't be trying to make too many statements, be they political or religious, with our civic buildings. I think that we should be, and I don't know how you govern that. It's clearly not a freedom of religion issue, but it's I think we need to adopt a different approach where it's no, these buildings are for everyone, and naming this building after, a potential racist,
right,
may not be a great thing.
Or even just, I'm with you, actually. I think that that's a great way of looking at it, because even if it's just there was a beloved politician.
Yeah.
There were still a bunch of people who disagreed with him.
Exactly.
And they're not being honored. They had a valid point, too. They had a valid perspective.
Right.
And
just because that person was in office for X number of years and got X, Y, and Z done.
Right.
What about the A, B, and C that was shitty and that made all these people over here kind of hate and resent and loathe that person?
And it's not like those people shouldn't be honored, but maybe not on public buildings. Maybe not on buildings that are owned by everyone.
Again, I don't even know where the line is on this. Yeah. I don't know what I'm willing to say right now. But I just started thinking about it and just these buildings and these spaces really need to be, depending on what the building is, but definitely courthouses.
Yeah.
Why are we naming courthouses after people?
Yeah, we shouldn't.
These places need to be very free of any potential attachment to ideology beyond our legal system and our civic system. We should not be there's so much potential for making people feel excluded or other as they're walking in to interface with their local government, state government, or federal government.
I feel like that's a fair point.
I don't know, but I'm more raising the question than anything.
Yeah, it's a valid question, I think. Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Here's somebody that I don't have any questions about. Kim Davis. Let's name something after Kim Davis.
Oh, I can think of some things we could name after Kim Davis. Kim, remind us.
If you guys don't remember who Kim Davis is, she became famous. She was foisted into the national spotlight after refusing to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples while she was serving as a county clerk in Kentucky. She served 5 days in jail while refusing to follow a judge's order back in 2015.
And was released to Mike Huckabee and Eye of the Tiger, if I'm not mistaken.
And and like you could see the expression on Mike Huckabee's face, dingbat as he is, immediately recognizing that he was somehow mixed up in something that he shouldn't have done. Anyway, she has not stopped fighting against gay marriage, Dan.
Oh, thank God.
Not at all.
Thank God.
In fact, she is being imported to Romania.
Oh, I wish you had said deported to Romania.
No, Romania is bringing her in to do some public appearances in support of their anti-gay marriage laws that are currently being decided as we speak.
Oh, my God.
So she's, internationally famous and renowned Kim Davis, now speaking out internationally.
Oh, my God.
To try to ban gay marriage where it can still be banned.
Yeah.
And apparently Romania, it's still possible. I had to look up Romania's stance on all things LGBT.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Are they
no clue what
they're pretty
they
anti? Yeah, I wouldn't. How would I know what Romania is like?
They were recognized as a country not too long ago that was making improvements.
Okay.
On sort of their gay rights standing. Apparently, it's not out and out illegal to be gay in Romania.
Right.
However, they do have already some laws on the books that make it so that you can't get married to a gay partner. Oh. And if you two are gay, I suppose a straight person could marry a gay partner.
Oh.
If the genders align appropriately.
Sure.
But
was Romania part of the USSR?
I believe it was in the bloc. Yeah, wasn't it?
I don't know. All that Eastern Europe stuff is tricky.
Yeah, it is a little tricky. But nonetheless, they it's not the worst place in the world to be gay, but you're not going to get married there.
They're not.
But now they're trying to make it even more defined, you know.
Yeah.
No. No gay marriage. Kim, come over here, Kim.
Yeah.
Kim, you know what we need.
What's nice is that, like, yeah, she was not the brightest bulb on the tree. That Kim Davis, she was not the sharpest tool in the shed. So, like, what's great is that she got famous, but she was adult. Right. So, you know, if someone's going to be working with people against homosexual equality, I want it to be an idiot. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, that's a good point.
Like, yeah, we'll export all of our really stupid people to help you in that fight. You can have them all.
Right.
I'm going to talk about the Boy Scouts of America. I feel like the BSA has become a litmus test for American standards lately.
Okay. Do tell.
Because as goes American feeling, like sort of as America sort of progresses through their feelings about homosexuality, their feelings about trans people, all of this sort of thing, the BSA sort of, they're not in the vanguard. They're not on the forefront of any of these issues. But when they make that switch is about the moment when America is kind of just like letting go of their, you know, of their absolute hatred or their firmly held negative beliefs or whatever.
So basically, as goes the BSA, so has already gone the rest of America.
Something like that. Something like that. America just sort of, the BSA is like the plow being pulled behind the oxen of America. And here's the latest from the BSA. Girls.
Girls. What about girls?
They are now going to allow girls into the Boy Scouts of America.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, it doesn't make much sense to keep it called the Boy Scouts of America at this point.
Yeah.
We'll probably see that name change at some point.
Scouts of America?
Yeah, something like that.
Child Scouts of America?
Kid Scouts of America. No, so like on the
Gender Neutral Scouts of America.
That will never be the name of this organization. They are going to allow girls in, starting with what are called Cub Scouts. That's the younger.
Oh yeah. The
section.
Cub Scouts are so much fun.
So there will be girls in the Cub Scouts, and then later, as this crowd of Girl Scouts progresses, they'll be allowed to go into Boy Scouts and eventually earn an Eagle Scout.
That is the plan.
Yeah,
that is the stated plan.
Yes,
that we're going to establish a cohort of kids. We're not going to disrupt the Boy Scouts immediately,
right?
Because that could be disruptive.
Correct.
But this group of cubbies, they will all be used to the girls.
Yep,
they will be socially adapted to the girls.
There is some incorrect in what you just said.
Wait, what do you mean?
Are there going to be
girl dens?
They will not be together.
There will be girl dens.
Girl dens and boy dens. And then Girl Scout troops, girl Boy Scout troops, and Boy Scout troops. When they become Boy Scouts.
No!
Yeah.
It's not fully integrated?
Separate but equal, apparently. The girls will be able.
Never works.
Yeah, that's always a good thing.
So you go on the worst hikes.
Again, they're being dragged kicking and screaming into these decisions. And so yes, they were I'll remind our listeners who have paid attention throughout this saga that they eventually allowed gay boys in, openly gay scouts. That was in 2013.
Right.
Then openly gay scout leaders in 2015. That was a huge deal.
Yeah.
Then trans boys in 2017.
Right.
And now girls. So, like, they're doing really great. There is still one group, can you name it, in the United States of America that is still not allowed in the Boy Scouts.
Lesbians?
Us.
Atheists. So they're just going to... Girls are in. Little lesbian girls can come in, too.
Yeah.
Just right away.
Yeah, I think so.
They're not going to get weird about
I think they're grandfathered in. They're gay
based
grandfathered
on the
in.
gay decision.
Right.
That wasn't just boy specific.
Right.
That would be weird. That would have been a weird choice. Atheists.
So the one group that is still absolutely not allowed into the Boy Scouts of America is open atheists.
To profess a belief in God.
Yep.
Still.
Yep. So,
oh, come on, guys.
Look for it, kids. When the Boy Scouts of America allow open atheism, and that will be a big deal. They'll have to change like the Scout oath. They'll have to change some big things.
Yeah, they weren't ready for that. Too much rewriting of stuff.
Right. But when they do, that will be that. I'm saying that's the canary in the coal mine. That is the great indicator of acceptance of atheism in these United States of America.
Well, I'm going to go to another indicator of the acceptance of atheism in America.
Sure.
There's been a recent Pew Center study that's been released.
Okay.
This one is about where Americans are in sort of their sense of like your need for God to be moral. Right?
Okay, so
the necessity of God in this equation of morality.
Right. Can a person be good without God? Is the question.
Indeed,
we're asking.
That's the question, right?
Okay.
And historically, Americans have always said, absolutely, you need God to be good.
Oh, you must have God.
You must have God to be good.
Right.
And now, the most recent study that has come out, 56% of Americans, this is up from 49% in 2011, say that it is not necessary to believe in God to be moral and have good values.
Oh!
And so just in these 6 years that have passed, that number has gone up 7%.
Okay.
Or that number has gone up by 7%.
But we've hit majority. Majority Americans will
and
now
a decided majority. Instead of this sort of 49% kind of half and half thing.
Right.
56%. We're there.
Okay.
there's been a bit of an arrival. And now some people are saying, well, there has been this, in the same period of time, an increase in sort of these religious nuns, right? These people who identify, possibly as atheist or agnostic or quote just, unquote, nothing in particular.
Right.
Right. So obviously this group of people is going to be saying, well, yeah, you can be good without God.
Yeah, but
however,
also,
we are seeing an increase amongst religious folk, Protestants and Catholics, who have, let's see, 41% of Protestants, that's up from 37%, now say that you can be good without God, and 49% of Catholics, up from 47%.
Huh.
So what is surprising, this article actually says somewhat less surprising, but it's actually very surprising to me. Because the number's not higher. 85% of religious nuns said that you could be good without God.
Only 85%? So like a whole bunch of people
studies.
who don't have a professed religious belief.
Exactly. They're saying you still need God. These are not atheists or agnostics.
Right.
That's the thing that we have to understand about this nun category.
Right. Atheists and agnostics are included in that category.
Yes.
But as are everyone who says, I don't, I'm spiritual but not religious, or I don't belong to a particular sect but I still believe in God or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
Okay. Well,
but nonetheless, this is on the up tick. It's good.
Yeah. You know what I'd chalk it up to?
What do you?
I mean, I think that there has been, you and I have talked about it. I think that there has been a concerted effort for people who are non-believers to just be open about that fact.
Yeah. It's super important.
It is super important, and I think that the more visible we are as a group, and the more people see that we're just regular folk who do nice things sometimes, and give to charity and all that sort of thing. The more people see that, the more they're going to say, "Oh, yeah, I guess you can just be good, and God doesn't have to play into it."
Right.
I know my in-laws finally would probably answer, yes, it's possible to be good without God. Possible. I don't know that they'd say it's likely, but they'd say it's possible.
Maybe could happen. One interesting statistic that's included in this article.
Yeah.
So in 1975, white Christians accounted for 81% of the U.S. population.
Mm-hmm.
How much of the population do you think they make up, or they are now?
White Christians?
White Christians.
They were 81%?
They were 81% in 1975.
I'm going to say 70%.
43%.
Oh!
This is why we see a phenomenon like Donald Trump. Because they are fucking scared.
Yeah,
they see their numbers dwindling. They feel their numbers dwindling. And they are terrified.
That's interesting.
And so they keep getting louder. And so it's actually really interesting because they're louder and louder and louder. And so you think that they just have this presence. And they must be in the majority.
Well, that's interesting because
fucking loud.
That's back when there used to be this phrase, the silent majority.
Yeah.
And guess what? That same silent majority, which that phrase was a reference to white Christians, is quickly becoming a wildly vocal minority.
Absolutely.
Isn't that interesting?
It is very, very, very interesting.
Let's get rid of them altogether.
Well, we're working on it. Now, there has been a slight uptick amongst non-Christian religious groups. So those groups are growing. It's not to say that Christianity is just going the fuck away,
right? As
white Christians have disappeared, but they haven't been growing at a rate. It's a modest rate. It's just not the same increase to offset sort of the decrease of the white Christians,
right?
And of course, I don't know. Do I need to bring up? I did bring up Donald Trump. He visited the Values Voter Summit this last week, which is terrifying.
Not a good thing.
Part of this
is not a delightful organization.
No,
the Value Voter, which just means Christians who hate gays.
Right. This is part of the death throes of the white Christian majority in this country. He, of course, pledged to take up the cause of saying Merry Christmas.
What a very important cause for our president to concern himself
important.
with.
And here's his quote, folks. You ready for his quote? Religious liberty is enshrined in the very First Amendment of the Bill of Rights, and we all pledge allegiance to, very, very beautifully, one nation under God. This is America's heritage, a country that never forgets that we all, every one of us, are made by the same God in heaven. And they were just cheering and fucking applauding, and they can't believe it because their little 43%.
Yeah.
They've got President of the United States.
Well, yeah.
In their pocket.
Well, and you say death throes. This is going to be a long and ugly death.
Oh, yeah.
This is not, just because it may be dying, doesn't mean that we're not going to have to fight them all the way down.
Oh, yeah.
The hill.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna move us along to Nairobi, Kenya.
Really?
Yes. Kenya recently had a presidential election, and that election was actually invalidated by their Supreme Court because of irregularities, they said. The new election, I'm not going to get much into it. I don't want to delve into the politics of Kenya, largely because I don't know anything about the politics of Kenya. But I will tell you this little nugget. Both of the major candidates, current sitting president Uhuru Kenyatta and Kenyatta's challenger Raila Odinga, both of them have been heavily leaning on biblical comparisons for their campaign. So,
nice.
As much as we may, here's the thing. This is coming from a guy who just said that he couldn't watch the Book of Mormon movie anymore because of the racist treatment of Africans.
Right.
I still have a pretty negative view of most of Africa. Like, most of Africa, in my view, pretty backwards thinking in terms of social issues, pretty backwards in their politics,
right?
Pretty backwards in their religious practices a lot of the time.
Sure. Okay.
But they, I did not know that Kenya itself as a country is like 80% Christian.
Huh.
And these guys are hitting it hard. So, what we've got here, we've got Kenyatta, who is being compared to David, Slayer of Goliath. They're talking about him as they're even pointing out things that like he likes music and is left-handed, as many believe David from the Bible to have been.
Wait. What are people basing David's? Who sat down and figured that out?
I don't know.
Is there?
I don't know. Maimonides. I have no idea who came up with the left-handed thing. But that's the level of detail to which they are trying to make this comparison.
Wow.
Then you've got David on one side and Joshua on the other side. Joshua, our biblical scholar listeners out there will remember, was Moses's what did he end up being? His brother-in-law or something? I don't know. His brother.
Well, he was his spokesperson, right?
Yeah, he was his spokesperson. Yeah, maybe they're not related at all. Anyway, but he was the one that took over after Moses went up to heaven and led the Israelites to the promised land.
Oh.
I think Moses just had him walking around for 40 years, didn't he?
He was bad.
They were just out in the wilderness for 40 years.
He just couldn't read a compass.
Yeah, terrible.
He had his GPS set to where they didn't get on the freeway.
Well, he was using MapQuest instead of Google Maps.
So they just kept like wandering around on these surface streets.
Yeah, it was
without ever getting on the freeway to get to.
He didn't do any of the updates or anything.
No.
He didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So that's there. You go. You got Joshua trying to lead Kenya to the promised land, and David trying to slay whatever Goliath Kenya is up against. I'm not sure which. They're eating it up, though. Boy, their constituents are
really
just eating it up.
Really?
Now, there are a few people who are like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this, but a lot of them. There was one person, just a woman on the street that was interviewed, Julia Oganda, who said, "When they use these names of the Bible heroes, it brings peace to the people, since religion is for peace."
Is it?
Clearly, she's paid a lot of attention.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And then apparently she started chanting, "We are going to Canaan. We are going to Canaan."
Oh, so she must be for Joshua.
I guess so. Yeah.
I love it. That's amazing. Well, if you have anything that you'd like to add to this conversation, any biblical figures that you personally align with,
yeah,
please
write into us. podcast@thankgodimatheist.com is the email address.
Or you can call and leave us a voicemail. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
And while on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. We'll let you in.
Yeah. Well, Franklin.
Yes, Dan.
You know that Pat Robertson sure does have a lot of good things to say in the world.
Well, I mean, not so much recently, it feels like.
Yeah, he's been a little quieter.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody's been a little quieter since Obama left office. They just don't have as much to say.
The crazy is
all the people who backed Trump. Now they need to shut up because they can't say good things about him because he's clearly a madman. But they can't say bad things about him because they backed him. And
they're still saying good things.
Yeah,
they love that man.
They do. It's true. But this is just from Patty Boy's advice column section.
Ask Patty.
Let's get a listen.
Pat, this first one comes from Ethel, who says, when my son told me he was going to marry an atheist, it was a tough pill to swallow, but I managed to get through it. I raised my son to believe we as Christians should only marry inside the church, but I know he loves her so much that I can't bring myself to say anything about it. Should I respect his right to make his own choice?
Well, Ethel, your son has grown up, but
Yeah.
the Bible is very clear. What fellowship has Christ with Belial? The Bible says, do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. And what is happening, as Billy Graham said so cogently a few years ago, you marry an atheist and you've got the devil for your father-in-law. I mean, that's what's happening. And this son is going to be in torment because they will be fighting all the time about very important things. That assumes that he really cares about the Lord. If he doesn't, then of course they'll both be into atheism together. But what can you do as a parent? Well, you can advise him, you can counsel him, but the Bible says raise up a child in the way that he shall go, and when he's old, he won't depart. You haven't raised him very well if he's going into atheism right now.
Damn. Damn. That's a lot packed into that little...
There's a lot. But this poor couple, they're just always going to be fighting.
They're always going to be fighting. You know, I actually know, there are very happy marriages out there that are
mixed
belief marriages,
mixed philosophy.
Yeah, it can be done. But man, apparently Ethel's in trouble. I love that he ends with like, "Oh, by the way, this is on you. You done fucked up, Ethel. You fucked it up. I hope you're happy with yourself because you suck."
Yeah,
as a parent.
Yeah, yeah. What's the state of his kids? Pat's kids.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I assume
they must all be perfect.
He would not be throwing rocks.
Oh, never.
From his glass house.
Oh, never. He would. Of course not. That would be ridiculous. Oh my God. Yeah. How much you want to bet he's got at least one gay kid that he pays
just to shut
up? That he.
I know I'd be taking that man for all it's worth.
Yeah.
All right, Dad.
All right. Until you're dead, I will be quote unquote straight. I will not come out publicly, and you must give me millions of dollars.
I'd settle for $500,000 a year.
Okay, that's a pretty happy living.
You can live a good life on $500,000 a year. No reason to get greedy here, Dan.
Oh, there's a good reason to get greedy. There's definitely good reasons to get greedy. Oh, well, we had some people write in and call into us. I'm going to read a voicemail. This comes from, I'm going to read an email. You do the voicemail.
You're going to read us a voicemail, please.
No, I'm
do.
definitely not. I'm going to read us an email, though. This one's from Sarah. Hi, Frank and Dan. I stumbled across your show a few weeks ago, and I've been working my way through the giant backlog of past episodes. Good Lord.
There's a lot.
Yeah, good luck to you.
Almost 6 years.
One thing that strikes me as I've been listening to you guys chat is how you rarely, if ever, make jokes at the expense of trans people when the topic comes up. Living as a trans person can be very isolating, and in my personal experience, even if someone is fairly trans positive and doesn't consider me an abomination in the eyes of the living God, it's not uncommon for them to still consider the idea of changing one's gender expression to be a bit of a strange joke. I don't pretend to speak for all of my trans brothers and sisters out there, but for me, it would be hard to overstate how much the affirmation or mockery of the people around me can affect how I feel about myself, especially early on in the transition process before I've had a chance to really get settled. It's just so nice to hear from two people who seem to genuinely take the feelings of trans people at face value, and I just wanted to say that I very much appreciate it. Love the show. Keep up the good work.
That's really nice.
Yeah, Sarah. And you know what? I would like our listeners to hold us to that and call us on it if we ever do make a joke at the expense of trans people. Like, I'll make a joke at the expense of a trans person if they're acting like an idiot. But not because
they're trans.
Not because of their trans.
No.
I think everybody's fair game in terms of, like, yeah, you know,
if you're a dingbat, you're a dingbat.
If Laverne Cox says something idiotic, I'm coming after you, Laverne. But not because you're trans.
Yeah, no way.
It's not a problem. Be trans.
That was really nice. What was the name of the...
Sarah.
Sarah, thank you so much. That's good to hear.
Yeah,
actually. That's really nice.
Do you want to play the voicemail?
Yeah, I do. This is from a listener who... Oh, he has something... to ask us about concerning like the Mormon baptisms for the dead stuff.
Oh, sure.
So, let's just go right to that.
So I've been listening to your podcast for a long time, and one of my best friends from my last job is also a recovering Mormon. And he linked me something the other day, or he sent me a picture of Adolf Hitler the documents of Adolf Hitler being baptized to the Mormon church. Talked to him about it. I found it interesting, but my question is why do they try to baptize even some of the worst people in the world? And also, I'm going to be trying to do some research through the Reddit community of if any of my Jewish ancestors have been baptized as well. Anyways, love the work. Keep it up, guys. Thanks. Bye.
Well, here's the fun part, kids. Hell yeah, Adolf, old 80, has been baptized into the Mormon church.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the deal. For those unfamiliar with the practice, the Mormon Church has a practice called baptisms for the dead.
They shouldn't be left out too. Just because they're dead.
Just because they're dead doesn't mean that they don't need the Lord.
Everyone.
So this basically the concept here is that everyone that has ever lived and that will ever live,
yes,
needs to have access to the gospel.
Right.
Needs to have been given the opportunity to accept Mormonism as the true and real faith of human beings,
and have access to all of the sacraments
and the blessings,
so to speak, of the Mormon Church.
Indeed,
right? The most correct of all the churches,
and you can't
the
go
only authorized church.
Right? Yeah, and you can't go to the highest levels of heaven if you haven't accepted all of this stuff.
But God is fair, and so He says, you know what? I get it. Not everybody had a chance to be Mormon.
Sure, there were some people who were born before Joseph Smith even.
It's hard to
imagine that, but it did happen.
Apparently it happened. And so they get a chance too.
So the theory is that they are going to do this for every human that has ever lived and that will ever live. They're going to eventually get around to everything. After Jesus comes, they've got 1,000 years. The millennium is just clerical work.
Yeah.
It is just Mormons researching out everybody that's ever lived and making sure that somebody gets baptized in their name here on earth, because it's very important. There's no water in heaven. They can't do the baptism after you're dead, apparently. All like we have to do it here on earth for and in the name of blank. So does that include the worst people that have ever lived? Vlad the Impaler?
Everyone.
Genghis Khan?
No, everyone.
Joseph Stalin?
Dan. Everyone.
Okay.
Everyone must be baptized.
And so when they did this, when they started doing this, you gotta know there was a mad dash to get in there to do the famous people. Joan of Arc, sure. Pope Pius II, great. Yeah. They did all of these things, and there
when they discovered the Lucy, the skeleton from Africa.
I don't know if they did her, but they probably tried to. Somebody did. I baptize you for and in the name of Lucy. Wait, is that her real name? We don't know. Damn it. So, and this is the one thing, like, I never went through the Mormon temple, but they'll let you into sort of like that room of the Mormon temple when you're 12 and older.
Yeah.
To go and do baptisms for the dead. So that's a thing that I did as a youth.
Yeah. Went
in there, got baptized for, like, they had these records. By the time I was doing it, it's all on computer, and they're keeping records, and they had, they go to some small village somewhere in Spain or probably Honduras or some place, because I got baptized for and in the name of like 22 guys named Juan. They did not have first names or last names for these guys.
Oh, really?
For and in the name of Juan, splash. I did baptize you for in the name of Juan, splash. And we just kept doing that.
And God just knows which.
God knows which Juan. Anyway, yes, but before this was all computerized, they would do, like, people would come in and they'd have a list of people, a list of maybe their own ancestors, but also Elvis. Or whatever.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So, yes, all the famous people not only have been baptized for, but probably many times. And now, now they've changed their rules on it because, a lot of people, like a lot of the Jews who were killed in the Holocaust were baptized for, and the Jewish community was a little miffed about it.
Did they have to, like, unbaptize?
No.
They left them baptized.
Now, mind you, like, the Mormon theology on this is that, like, this baptism for the dead doesn't mean that those people are now Mormon in their minds. It just means that now they've had this baptism done for them, and they may choose to accept or not accept this baptism as pleases them in the afterlife.
Right.
So that's why, frankly, I don't think anyone should be offended by this. It's such a stupid concept.
They need to do it. They need to do it more in secret.
Yes,
they don't publish that you've, or tell anyone that you're baptizing all these Jews. Just do it.
Well, they did that for a long time, and make no mistake, it is every bit their intention to do all of these people eventually. They're just postponing it now.
Oh, yeah. The time will come.
They're going
the millennium.
Yeah. They're definitely intending to do it. It's just not now.
It is problematic, though.
Yes,
not every society on Earth has been the best record keeper.
No. There are not records for most of the people that have ever lived. There will be magic records. Don't worry. There will be some golden plates or something.
There's some card catalog in heaven.
Yes,
with
indeed.
Everybody listed.
We had one more email.
Oh, good.
Dear Frankie and Danny.
Nice.
This is in reply. This is a reply in general to you and the previous episode's emailer. Unfortunately, I'm afraid you hit the nail on the head. You said your friend lives in a very religious community, and as an atheist receiving mental health treatment in the South, I can assure you the majority of mental health centers are religious. Typically, they would be labeled as blank family therapy with an emphasis on the family, or just blatantly say Christian. Obviously, I cannot say this is the case for your friend, but the answer to your fear that religion is deep in Southern mental health is unfortunately correct. These organizations almost never take public insurance options and will only take private, as they do not typically conform to government standards of secularism. These therapy centers are often ones you hear about in the news who try to shame and pray the gay away for individuals who seek help there.
My God.
Yeah, so this is from Emily. Thank you, Emily. And Emily also adds, and I can't reiterate this enough, that there's a great resource for people out there. It's seculartherapy.org.
Great
which
thing
is
to point out.
The Secular Therapist Project. They will match you up. If they can't find a therapist in your area to match you up with who is secular, there are therapists who will do online therapy with you, Skype therapy with you. There are therapists who will do over the phone. There are resources for you.
So you don't have to feel alone.
Yeah.
Thanks to modern technology.
Daryl Ray, who runs the thing, has been on the show. He's a delightful character, So get over there if you need the help, but get help.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always good to get help.
Dan.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to tell you how you could become a supporter of the show.
I would like to support this show. I believe in its mission, and I appreciate what it does.
Then let me tell you.
Please do.
You, Dan.
Yeah.
Can go to thankgodimatheist.com.
Yeah.
And click on the support tab. That'll take you to Patreon, where you can then select the level of support that you'd like to support us at.
Right.
And there's little things you can get in that's sort of our way of thanking.
Yeah, we have levels of reward for depending. I mean, you choose what level you want to support us at.
Absolutely.
That's up to you entirely. There are different ways that we thank you for your support as you go up the tiers. And so yeah, we are always so grateful for our donors. But yeah, if you believe in this show and you think you want it to continue, a little bit of support is always much appreciated.
And as always, Dan, it's time.
Oh yes,
we must thank
our Lord and Savior,
our top donor, Angela.
Angela, Lord and Savior of the
she reigns supreme.
The TGIA universe.
She blesses us all.
Thank you so much
with
for your support.
Her Angeliness.
And we bless all of you in the name of Angela and of Frank and of Dan. Amen.
Amen. Hey, Dan.
Yes, sir.
So you've been up to no good.
Yeah. Doing the devil's work out there in the world.
Hereticking.
Yeah. Yeah, and teaching others to do so as well.
How to heretic.
Yeah, indeed. So
wait, that sounds like something.
That could be a title. That's a great idea. So yeah, Mark, our sometime co-host, our fill-in host here on our show, and I have launched our new show, The How To Heretic. It's kind of, you know what it is it's the Frank, this show and other shows like it can be sometimes a deep dive into atheism. It can be, if you haven't read your Hitchens and your Dawkins, you may feel a little out of your depth because we go deep, we go hard.
Sure.
So the new show, The How To Heretic, it's a very lighthearted, fun jolt. Like, we talk about a lot of, just easy things. We have a lot of fun, and it's about how to live your life and how to think and how to have a good time now that you're out of religion.
Oh.
Because you were not taught a lot of these things when you were in your religion. You know, those of us raised in religion, especially repressive religions like Mormonism, we were not taught how to have normal fun. Things like drinking.
Yeah.
Things like sex. We were not taught good, healthy ways of looking at these things.
No.
So that's what the new show's about. We wanted to play just a little clip of it, just to wet your whistle.
Yeah. Okay.
Just a little something. This will just be one of the segments that we do on the show, and maybe you'll like it.
All right. Well, let's hear it.
Take a listen. Well, Uncle Mark.
Yes, Uncle Dan.
I am going to exhume from the graveyard a god today.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today
to rehash one of those fallen gods of yesteryear.
So there's so many to choose from, Dan.
It's just thousands, literally thousands of gods have come and gone in the imaginations of humanity.
All across the world.
Yeah.
In every culture and every flavor and of people and place.
Right. Well, so I decided.
Who's today?
Here's what I did. I thought, we just a few weeks ago we had that total solar eclipse. I went all the way up to Idaho to witness the totality.
I panicked.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
I think my image is just you running around in a circle.
Screeching.
Yeah.
Until I was hoarse.
So I originally thought, I'll just do the Egyptian sun god Ra. And I was reading about it, and let me tell you something, kids. You got to be an Egyptologist to get all... I would have to read all the things, and eventually we'll get to that. We'll read all the things, and we'll be the experts on all of the gods. They're sort of go-to guys, but we're not that now. But here's what I found. I liked someone else more.
Oh.
Sekhmet is who we're talking about today.
Sekhmet.
Sekhmet is a goddess, a god of
a lady god.
A lady god. I mean, such as she is, she's got a lioness head.
Ooh.
So that's kind of
oof.
Meow.
Meow. Sorry, she's dead.
She goddess of fire, war, fertility, and healing. The healing part's interesting because you don't hear a lot about the healing in the stories you get with Sekhmet.
It is interesting, though, that a lot of, Dan and I both, we've left religion, but I think we both still find it fascinating. And certainly mythology. It's interesting how often one god embodies both ends of a thing.
Yeah.
Birth and death.
Yes.
War and fertility, et cetera, et cetera.
It is that's a good point.
Yeah. Especially when you have multiple gods, each one can have a job.
Yeah, right.
Right. So why give...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just invent another one. Yeah, you've got one for war.
Yeah.
Invent another one for fertility.
Right. Why does the same one have to moonlight?
Yeah, well,
it's a bunch of bullshit. It was pre-union days. Go on, second.
I belong to deity local number 279.
I think the Egyptians might be deity local number 1, but
they're pretty early on. So Sekhmet appeared. Here's the thing: Ra was the creator of all of the everything.
The sun
and the earth and the people and all the things.
Yeah.
At one point, this is my favorite Sekhmet story. At one point, Sekhmet was sent so Ra, and there are different versions of this story. I'll give you just one of the versions, and if you want to quibble with me, go ahead.
Go on.
Ra decides that everybody's being shitty. All of the humans that he created are being kind of shitty. So he's going to kill them all. Or he's going to kill a bunch of them.
This comes up often in religious texts.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody has to die.
Now, come on. There's no way that the Christian God could be like that, right? I don't know. Here's what. So he sends down Sekhmet, or sometimes he sends down another goddess. Anyway, Sekhmet is going crazy. She is I think bloodthirsty is literally a Sekhmet trademark.
She was drinking the blood.
She was slaughtering everybody. Ooh. And that's when Ra went, oh shit, she's actually killing everybody.
Oh, she was coloring outside the lines.
All of the everybody's. There's not going to be any more humans. So Ra, apparently he tries to stop her. just by saying, kiddo, maybe a little less
honey,
on the murdering.
Honey, but he's a typical like helicopter parent. She doesn't listen.
She doesn't listen. She is just going nutty. So his solution, which maybe it's brilliant, is to take beer and color it red, and then she thinks it's blood, and she just drinks it down and gets so drunk that she then sort of passes out.
All right, so I think...
And stops killing all of the people.
Cutting to the chase, what you're saying here is beer is pretty much always the answer.
Beer, since the ancient Egyptian times, beer is the answer.
It's going to cure what ails you.
And I think our Water Witch boys at the end are gonna be able to...
Let's see what they have to say about
confirm that. But anyway...
So she got intoxicated...
and then passed out
on blood beer
or chilled. That was the word I was looking for.
Right.
It was not coming out. Chilled out enough that like she was like, "Oh, I guess I don't have to kill all of the rest of the people. I'll be okay." And then she was fine, and we as a species survived.
Jesus.
So that's nice that we're still here.
Yeah.
Worshippers of Sekhmet, each of the Egyptian gods had their own cults, with their own rituals and priestesses and priests and whatever. The Sekhmet cult was interesting. They were so afraid of her that, usually you put up a statue or an image of your god and pray to it or whatever. They had one for every day of the year. They had 365 Sekhmet statues so that they could worship a different one because they just needed this bitch to be happy.
Oh yeah. Like, were they all exactly the same? Or?
No, I think they were different.
Wow.
But all had a sort of lioness face on it. And
see, I think this is the local sculptors union. Overplaying their hand, but successfully.
Yeah. They definitely they had one really good sales guy.
Yeah.
Who was like, wait, you've only got 2 of these?
You're never going to believe what I just did.
This woman, no. Wait, you guys are Sekhmet, right? Yeah, you're going to need one for every day.
So what would they pour? Was beer like the thing? Would they pour beer on her? Or?
Let me tell you something. You get drunk. If you're worshiping Sekhmet, you get drunk. That is the preferred methodology, to the point where there was a palace found at Luxor, an ancient palace that had what they called an intoxication porch. just because, you know what?
Is it for Sekhmet? So it was for the Sekhmet.
It is not enough to just a little sippy sip here and there. That's not what we're going for when it's Sekhmet. You worship Sekhmet by getting just shit hammered.
You go hard.
You go hard.
Nice.
So on her day, there's a day that they would celebrate her, and literally everybody would. I mean, and who doesn't want to be a part of this celebration? There's each of these gods has their big day of celebration.
Yeah.
You want to go to the Sekhmet one because it's just get plowed.
So what attribute of this porch made them understand it was an intoxication porch?
I have no idea.
Just a bunch of...
maybe they're just making it up.
Bunch of cans, or maybe it was...
ancient beer cans.
That would be awesome, an ancient aluminum beer can. Was it like a tilted porch for fluids?
Yeah, it does seem like maybe there were some taps in the wall.
Drainage.
And drains everywhere for various and sundry.
Any Australian listeners might know this. An Australian friend of mine told me that when what's the state that Sydney's in? Is it New Queensland or
New South Wales?
South Kidney or something?
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Did I just say a thing?
I think it's New South Wales.
I have no idea.
So I guess at one attempt to control booze consumption was they made drinking only legal from 5 to 7.
Oh.
In the afternoon. So there was this thing called the I think it was the 6 o'clock swill, where the guys would run from the factories to the bars and start pounding beers as fast as they could. But
sounds healthy.
The bar front was also a urinal.
Oh, good.
So they would just stand there and drink and piss.
Pull out their wieners and then start drinking.
Yeah.
And then whatever pours out, pours out.
Yeah. Isn't that nice?
Just goes straight through.
That sounds like a nice afternoon at the bar with the boys.
Who wouldn't want that?
So maybe that's what the intoxication porch was.
I feel like you're just slandering down under now.
Oh, no.
I feel like you've just made something up to make Aussies look bad.
I wouldn't dare. Everything they have is poisonous. I wouldn't dare.
Right. And punchy. They seem to be very punchy.
Yeah.
Even their animals box.
Yeah, they're very punch forward. But they seem like nice people. And
there you go. So, Sekhmet, let's bury her back in the graveyard of the gods.
Sekhmet, and remember, folks and friends, that people used to believe in Sekhmet as fervently as your friends and neighbors may say in Jesus.
Yeah.
But she's just another one of thousands of gods that may now rest in pieces.
Moving on.
Well, look at that, Dad.
Yeah, there you go. The little fun we're having over there on the other show. So come on over and check it out.
Mm-hmm.
HowToHeretic.com is our website. You can find us on iTunes or whatever pod blaster you're particularly fond of, hopefully by now. And just come check us out. See what you think.
Yeah, do that. All right. Well, if anybody has anything to say about anything they've heard of today on this show,
on this particular show, don't.
If there's something that you heard in that little clip, don't tell me about it.
Right, yeah, right. You can write into the other show about that. But for the rest of the show, write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can call and leave us a voicemail message. 424-666-8442 is the number to call.
Yep, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
And while on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge or request to join. It's a closed group, but that's not a reason to not
No, it's closed for a reason. It's good. It's closed so that you don't have to admit to anybody else that you're atheist, but you can come in and become part of a grand and lovely community.
Absolutely.
Hey, speaking of Facebook, thanks to Mackenzie for all her hard work on our page, and thanks to Sarah, Danny, and Amy for their lovely work moderating the Members Only Lounge.
And speaking of music, let's thank the Red Rock Hot Club and Gordon Johnston for the use of their music.
Yes, and thank you, dear listener, for tuning in. We are so grateful that you did.
Bye.